Good morning and welcome to this first video lecture on Is the Bible Scientific? I chose this topic for a reason, and I love the topic of whether or not the Bible is scientific, whether it's true, whether it's real, whether its events happened. I chose this topic because it was the end of the year, and I just wanted to study something that we could all build our faith in. And I got done a tad early for your class. So I got done a little early because there was no class time interruptions during the video lectures. I got done things a lot quicker. No homework to check, no tests to go over, etc. So anyway. Is the Bible scientific? We'll explore that question, but let me first start out with an idea. So before I was a Christian school teacher, I actually worked in the public school for a very short time. It was like half a year. And I worked at Travelers Rest High School in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. And I was a biology teacher. And I had another teacher that was the main teacher, and I was kind of like a support. And the main teacher's just firing away this evolution stuff, and there's kids in this class that are good kids, and, pastors' kids that just can't afford to send their kids to a Christian school. They don't have step-up or anything if they didn't have the money. And so I had this kid come up to me after this evolution lecture, and he's like, Mr. R, is there any evidence that the Bible is true? I mean, I've been told it's true my whole life. I've just never been told, why it might be true. And he said, I kind of know why evolution's dumb, I'm not coming from a monkey. I understand that, it doesn't make sense to me. But how about the Bible? Does the Bible have any evidence for itself? This kid's a good kid now. He's actually a pastor, believe it or not, which makes me feel really old that I have former students who are pastors. But anyway, that's besides the point. Needless to say, there's a lot of evidence that the Bible's true, and we're going to go over some of that today. I actually have 7 points, you can call them, and hopefully it'll strengthen your faith. The first point is the Bible ahead of its time. The Bible is ridiculed now for the story of Genesis. It is kind of scoffed at because of the worldwide flood, which many geologists say that, that couldn't have happened. It must have just been a series of local floods. How the Bible doesn't make sense with the ages that are in Genesis. Oh, how could people live to 600, 700 years old? That's ridiculous. And yet, years ago, the Bible was ridiculed for different reasons. The Bible's always been ahead of its time, far ahead of science. Consider the following. The earth is a sphere. Isaiah 40:22 says that God looks at the circle of the earth, and where there's a sphere. And yet, for generations, people still believe the earth is flat. They still believe that today, some of them, but people believe the earth was flat until Columbus attempted his transcontinental ocean voyage. Here's another one. Blood is a source of life and health. I wish George Washington... Hold on. I've been sick. I wish George Washington kind of knew that, because he was bloodlet. They thought that if somebody had a fever, they had too much blood, so they had the blood taken out of them. Well, what you need when you're sick is your blood. You need all of it you can have. And they believe sick people just need to be bloodlet and bled, and a lot of them died, including our first president. Innumerable stars, Jeremiah 33, 22. This is kind of a cool verse here. Actually, I'm going to open them up on my my video here. Jeremiah 33:22. It says, "As the host of the heavens, or as the stars cannot be numbered, neither the sand of the sea be measured, I will multiply the generations of Jacob, or of David." And so that's a really cool promise to David. But it's also it talks about innumerable stars. Well, how did the Bible know that? I mean, we can only see about 1,000, and that's not innumerable. We can number them. In fact, we've had them numbered for millennia now. Here's another one. Air has weight. Job 28, 25. Let me see if I can pull that up. Job 28, 25. It says God established the force of the wind. He gave the wind its weight. God fixed the weight of the wind, and that's a really recent phenomenon in physics, to know that the that air has weight. I mean, that's just something that for millennia we had no clue it did, until the laws of physics came to be. So anyway, here's three more. Ahead of its time continued. Unclean animals. The Bible forbade the Jewish people from eating pig, weasel, rodents, certain fish. You can, if you've ever read the book of Leviticus, there's a lot of things they couldn't eat, and that really restricted their diet. And so, why couldn't they eat them? That's because we found out that these animals are the greatest carriers of disease. Here's another one. For those who are sick must live alone, for they are unclean. Leviticus 13:46. Scientists didn't realize diseases were infectious until 1847. If you went to the hospital, you had a 1 in 6 chance of dying because they didn't clean their surgical equipment. That is crazy. In fact, the first guy who said that diseases were infectious lost his medical license because it was so decided on in the medical community that diseases were not infectious. And it says anything an open wound touches is unclean for a week. How would the Bible have known that pathogens could live on surfaces for days? It's truly a miraculous book. Here's a couple more. Number 2 reason. The earth, accident, or design. The more you look at the earth, the more you're like, this place had to be designed. William Paley's watch argument. He said if you went into the desert and you found a watch, what would you think? You'd think, oh, somebody lost a watch, right? You wouldn't think that the elements created the watch, and yet the watch is made of quartz. The chemical formula for quartz is the same chemical formula for sand. So technically the desert could have made the watch. I mean, it is just a bunch of sand. Quartz is heated and pressurized sand. And yet we all know that watch wasn't made by time and by the random movement of the elements, because the watch is just too intricately designed. It's an argument for creation. Too good to be true molecules like water. Water is all over the earth. It's not very well found in the universe. It's ideal to support life. It boils and melts right. It's a solid, floats. No other molecule in the universe does that, where its solid form floats. Every solid sinks in its liquid. Water doesn't, and that supports life in the sea. Imagine if solid water sank, you would have a sheet of ice at the top of like a river or something, and then it would start to sink and it'd kill everything underneath it. Too good to be true. Location of the Earth: not too close to the sun, or life would be scorched. Too far from the sun, it'd be frozen. If the orbit was too elliptical or too wide, life would be too imbalanced. We would have seasons where life would be too hot and seasons where life would be too cold. Accident or design? It's design. I'm going to end this video on number 3, and I might not even get through all of this because this is a good bit of information. This is an incredible evidence for the Bible being true, and that is prophecy, supernatural events. We have a really good timeline of when things were written. A really good timeline. And scholars, even ones that don't believe the Bible, don't question the fact that certain books were written on certain dates or years. But if you read the Bible, you'll understand that there were prophecies that were given about the Messiah and about other things that just couldn't have happened by normal events transpiring. For instance, let's say I make a prophecy. I say, I prophesy that Community Christian School will have 500 students next year. And they have 500 exactly. Now that'd be pretty incredible, right? I mean, some people would be like, that's a little weird. But how about if I prophesied something even weirder? Let's say I would say, I prophesy that Community Christian School will have a donation from a guy named Bob for $1,234,852.75. And it came true. You'd be like, okay, you knew about that ahead of time, That's not weird. That's crazy. You couldn't have known that. You couldn't prophesy that. But it actually happened then. Messiah was prophesied 400 years before he was born. It says he would be born in Bethlehem by a virgin. Micah 5:2. Micah 5:2. It says, "But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, though you're small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come a ruler, who's a ruler over Israel, whose origins are from ancient times." It's talking about the Messiah. That he would be a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and David. Let's go to this one, Numbers 24:17. Numbers 24:17. A star will rise out of Jacob, a scepter will rise out of Israel, and he will crush the foreheads of Moab. And you got to understand the background here. Israel was oppressed. It's essentially saying he will free us from our enemies. He would be betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. Now this is getting a little weird, right? And the money would be used for a potter's field. We know the story in the New Testament where Judas betrays him for 30 pieces of silver, and then he goes and hangs himself in the potter's field. That's something that was foretold so long ago. Are we going to play or sit in the lobby? It didn't copy. That was from a video game earlier. Here's a prophecy. Even my close friend, someone I trusted, someone who I shared my bread with, has turned against me. Here's Zechariah, which is even cooler. It says, if you think it's best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid me 30 pieces of silver. Throw it to the potter. And eventually it was given back to the house of the Lord.